it's Lori again, and welcome back to my kitchen. I am still dealing, as I'm sure some of you are too, with Thanksgiving leftovers. We had a turkey, we had a ham, we of course ate some of that for the Thanksgiving meal, and we have eaten leftovers for the last 2 days. Now, my husband and my son would probably disagree with me, but I personally, I'm over it. I'm done. I've had enough turkey. I've had enough ham. And so with the few leftovers that I have, I'm going to can up some soup. Now, I'll show you what I mean by the few leftovers that I have. Okay, we had about a 14-pound bird, and I've got approximately, I don't know, we've eaten, like I said, we've eaten quite a few meals off the turkey, but I have approximately 4 cups of turkey left today. And this probably would do maybe one more meal for our family. But if I make this into a soup, it's going to give me a lot more meals than just one. And so that's what I'm electing to do with that today. And also with the ham. Now, this probably isn't even enough ham for, I suppose it would be enough ham for 2 people. But there isn't very much ham left. But if I stretch it into a soup, then it's a nice hearty meal for a lot more people. And so today I'm just going to do soup with both of these things. And it's just really simple, and you can do it as individualized as you would like to do it. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing. Most of my soups and stews and things along that line are very flexible. And I just use what I have on hand, and I just pretty much kind of shove things in canning jars, and then of course I do process them according to safe standard times. And so since I'm working with meat today, I will be canning this soup at meat times. But the flexibility of all of the ingredients is completely up to you, okay? So I'm planning on doing a turkey soup that will the end product will be almost like chicken noodle soup. Okay, that's what I have in my head on how I want to use this. And so I want just very few vegetables and my turkey and my broth, and I will can that up. And when I go to use it, I'll pop open the jar, bring it to a boil, and then I'll add some noodles to it. And bingo, I have turkey noodle or chicken noodle soup just in a moment's notice. And so that's what I'm going to be packing my turkey for. And my ham soup, I really enjoy ham and potato soup. So technically this could be considered a potato soup that's flavored with ham. And generally when I can my potato soup base, like I'm going to do today, there's not a whole lot of ham in there, but it has a lot of ham flavor. And when I open that up, I add some heavy cream and some cheese to it. And so I come out with this just wonderful cheesy potato and ham soup. And later in this video, now the guys don't know that this is what they're getting for supper, but this is what they're getting for supper. They're gonna have ham and potato soup tonight. So at the end of the video, I will pop open one of the ham and potato soup bases, and I'll show you how I complete that for a meal so easily. But for right now, let's get started on getting all of these jars filled, and I'll just kind of show you step by step what I personally do. And now, like I said, just keep in mind that you have the flexibility to add whatever or omit whatever you want to. So I have just simply cut up my turkey. I've cut up my ham into little bite-sized pieces. And then I've chosen my other ingredients. I personally have celery, onion, carrots, potatoes, garlic, and a little bit of dried parsley. And I also have ham stock, which I have previously made, and I have turkey broth that I previously made. And these broths are very, very flexible. You can even just use water if you want to in your soup inside of your jar, or you can use a powdered broth. Like if you have a granular chicken broth, you can fill your jar with water, add a little bit of that granular chicken broth, and you have a wonderful soup. But right now, I think just to get some things out of the way, I think I'm going to start with my ham first, okay? And so I'm doing 3 quarts with this little amount of ham. I didn't figure that I was going to have very much more than 3 quarts worth of meat. And so I'm just going to equally distribute that into my 3 canning jars. And these are quart jars today. I'd say I maybe had a total of maybe 2 cups of ham today for these 3 jars. And with my ham, I don't like a whole lot of other seasonings with my ham. I do a few seasonings, but I don't overdo it just because I really love the taste of the ham. Okay, so I'm going to add maybe a few onions in there, just a pinch. And then I'm going to do a little bit of celery in each one. And then what I'm going to do is add a little bit of parsley. And I've got about a half teaspoon here. Just a half teaspoon of parsley per jar. Parsley really doesn't add a whole lot of flavor, but it adds a whole lot of fun green things in there without being overbearing. So that's why I like adding parsley. It just adds a little bit of prettiness. And then I have a couple of potatoes. Actually, I think this was 3 large potatoes today, so I'm probably going to have some leftovers. But I have just raw cut. I just peeled and cut into bite-sized chunks. And I didn't cut them as small as what I do in some of my other things, because for potato soup, you really want to know that you have some potatoes in there. And since this is all going to be covered in broth, there really is no problem with displacing the air pockets or whatever. And so I've just got my potatoes chunked and cut into pretty good sized pieces. And I'm going to equally distribute those in my jars. And I have my wide mouth jars, so, you know, things are going in pretty easy. I don't really need my funnel. And like I said, you know, with ham and potato soup, particularly potato soup, you really want to know that you're eating some potatoes. So that's the whole point of this soup. Now I'm not going to fill all the way up to the top. A lot of times when you're canning potatoes, you have siphoning issues when you cover them with broth or water. They like to siphon out. I don't want that to happen, because I want all of that good ham flavor and broth to stay in my jars. So set that aside. Hopefully you can see I've filled my jar approximately 3/4 full with potatoes. Okay, now this is where my previously canned ham stock is going to come in, and you can see that I canned this back in 2020, March of 2020 to be exact. And I'm just going to use that as the base of my soup in my jar. Now, if you don't have ham stock made, you can use vegetable stock, or, well, if you wanted to, you could use chicken stock, or you could just use water in here. And there's probably enough ham to really flavor it well. So, but for now, I have cracked open my previously made ham stock. I'm going to give it a sniff. Oh yeah, that smells so good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that ham stock between my 3 jars, okay? And I've got some good ham chunks in there too. And they might just go right back into these jars and be canned again, just simply because we might as well not waste them. So I'm going to equally divide those little ham chunks that I had in there. And this is where I say, you know, these things are just so flexible. It is just not a problem at all to just do your own thing. Okay, so now as you can see, my jar is not full. My quart of ham stock was divided between these 3 jars of soup. And I need to add a little bit of water to finish filling these. So I'm going to bring those right up to about 1.25 inches head space. And the reason why I do that is because, like I said, when there's a lot of potatoes in a jar, they really like to overflow. So I have 1.25 inches head space. Now these jars are completely done. All I have to do is now wipe the rims and get them, put my bands on and get them into the canner, which I think that I have forgotten my cloth. I'm just going to pause for 1 minute. We'll get these jars finished, get them into the canner, and then we'll have more space. So just hold on 1 minute while I grab a rag. All right, so I'm back with my clean laundered washcloth, and I'm just going to wipe those rims off good. Make sure we don't have any grease or parsley bits or whatever it is. Just get them wiped off really well. So that those lids can seal well during the canning process. Again, today I am using my 4 jars lids. I am just super impressed with these things. They're amazing. Screw your bands on fingertip tight and stick them into the canner. Now I also want to just tell you right now that all of my food items, my broth, my jar, and my canner are all at room temperature. Okay, so everything is matched in temperature. And we'll get those beauties. Actually, I'll let you take a look here. This is going to be a wonderful potato and ham soup. Wonderful soup base. All right, so let's move on to that leftover turkey. Alrighty, so I have celery, onions, carrots, and my turkey. I also have my parsley and some garlic because we always like garlic and stuff. So I'm just going to equally distribute my turkey. It's not rocket science at all, just kind of eyeball it. And like I said, I had about 4 cups of turkey. So that's approximately 1 cup of turkey per jar. Stick a couple more in that one. All right, there we go. Now we can get this out of the way. We'll get that ham stock jar out of the way too. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of celery to each one. And like I said, be as heavy or as light on any of these ingredients as you want. If you prefer to have more veggies in your soup, you go ahead and add more veggies. Peas or corn or green beans or whatever it is that you want to have in your turkey soup, you just go ahead and add it. And I am not afraid of celery at all. Celery is a really mild type of veggie. So I'm being pretty generous with my celery. All right, now I want to, let's get some onions in here. And I'm not going to be so heavy with the onions because we all know that onions can easily overpower. So I'd say I'm putting in, I don't know, a good, at least 2 tablespoons of minced fresh onion. And now I'm going to start adding my carrots. You know, let's back up to the ham soup. I didn't add any salt to the ham soup because, or the ham and potato soup, because, you know, ham is pretty salty. So we just really don't need a whole lot of added salt in our ham soup. Of course, the potatoes are very, you know, potatoes really like salt, but you can always season that more when you open it also. I'm just going to use every single last carrot I had there. I had about, I don't know, 3 or 4 cups of carrots too. So that's a healthy dose of carrots in my soup. And you can see how pretty that is in the jar already. Got my turkey on the bottom, and then a good healthy serving of fresh celery, my fresh minced onions, and my fresh cut carrots. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to elect, now you don't have to do this if you don't want to, it's fine, but I'm going to elect to put some garlic in mine. So I'm putting in, oh, what is this? I'm putting in a teaspoon of garlic, a heaping teaspoon of garlic, because like y'all know, we like garlic at our house. We're not afraid of garlic at all. Keeps the vampires away, right? And now I'm going to put in some parsley also. And I think I'm going to do a full teaspoon. This is a half teaspoon measurement. So I'm just going to do a full teaspoon of parsley. And since we are working with the turkey instead of the ham, I am going to elect to personally put in a little bit of salt. Now, depending on what you use as your broth or whatever, if you use granulated chicken broth inside this jar, omit the salt, because granulated chicken broths are very, very salty, so you wouldn't need the addition of the salt. But I'm going to use homemade turkey broth, and so I know that the salt isn't going to be too much in there. With my pink Himalayan salt here, I'm just measuring 1/2 of a teaspoon into each jar. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my ham. I'm going to divide this previously made, now this turkey broth was back in 2019. Totally sealed, beautiful. You can see all of like my sediment from all of my my herbs and whatever that I made the broth with. That's what that sediment is in the bottom. Find a place where I can open this jar here. Well, that's not a very good ledge. There, maybe that one's better. Okay. Give it a sniff. Always, always, when you're opening home canned goods, use your eyes, use your ears, listen for that seal to pop, and use your sense of smell and just smell it. Make sure it smells normal, okay? Make sure nothing looks odd. Now I've got some turkey fat in there, some grease in there that's floating on the top of the jar. That's totally normal. It smells so good. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to equally distribute into my jars this turkey broth. And like I said, you just use whatever you want to. If you have store-bought broth that you want to use, you go ahead and you use that store-bought broth. If you have granulated broth that you want to use, you go ahead and use that. I'm just using my home canned broth tonight because that's what I have and that's what I want to use. And now I'm just going to, now you also, if you have plenty of broth, you go ahead and you just fill that jar up with just plain broth. I'm just trying to get by on just 2 quarts of broth tonight. You know, 1 quart of turkey, 1 quart of ham. And so what I'm doing is I'm just equally distributing that wonderful broth taste through my jars, and then I'm adding water to top off. But you can completely fill your jar with broth if you have enough to do so. And I'm going to take that up to about 1 1/4 inch headspace also. Oh, guys, that smells so good. Okay, and here again, everything that I've packed into my jars themselves, all of the food inside the jar, the broth, the canner, it's all room temperature. It's all the same temperature. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe those rims. place my lids. And my rings. Screw them on fingertip tight, and into the pressure canner they go. All right, how quick and easy was that, you guys? My soup jars are full of goodness, full of flavor, and they're already in the canner ready to go. Now my prep work, peeling and cutting the potatoes and chopping up the onions and the carrots, that maybe took me about a half hour, but actually assembling these jars took maybe 10 minutes max, and now I have 7 full meals in my canner in such a short while, and mostly on leftovers, leftover turkey, leftover ham. Beautiful soup. This is going to be beautiful. All right, so I'm going to pressure can my quarts of soup for 90 minutes. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because, number one, there's over 10% meat in there, so I need to can at meat times. There's also what's called soup time. Soup time is when your jar is only 50% full of solids, and then the rest of the jar is clear broth, like what I used, clear broth. But I really packed the veggies full in my jar. I'm way over that 50% mark, so I cannot use soup times for these. I'm going to use meat time just to make sure I'm safe. So if you were doing this in a pint jar in your pressure canner, it would be 75 minutes. In quarts, it's 90 minutes. And if you're hot water bathing these, which yes, you can hot water bath these. If you're hot water bathing, you would hot water bath for 3 hours, regardless of the size, whether it's pint or quart size jars. So let's get this canning process started. I'm going to vent for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to place my weight, bring it up to my appropriate pressure. I'm going to pressure can for 90 minutes. And after my canner has cooled, I will come back and show you what the finished result is. All right, so I got through the 90-minute processing time in the pressure canner, and I allowed my canner to cool off naturally. My lid lock pressure valve dropped, and my emergency blow-off plug dropped. And so then I knew it was safe to remove the weight or the regulator. And then I cracked it open just a little bit, just off to the side, just a little bit. I didn't lift, I didn't remove anything. Just moved it off, and I allowed it to cool for about another 15 minutes or so. So now it should be safe to fully remove the lid and take the jars out of the canner. Now this is still pretty hot, so you want to be careful, of course, as always. And we'll see how our soup looks. All right, so these are the turkey soup. Look at how gorgeous that is. Oh, I should probably tilt the camera down. Sorry guys, sometimes I have squirrel moments and I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. All right, there, now you can see what I'm doing. Removing these from the canner. Look at there, how beautiful. That is going to be beautiful turkey noodle soup. They're still boiling and hot. Get that last one out of there. And we'll move on to the potato and ham soup, which looks amazing. Now you can see this white stuff on my jars, and what that is that's the cream of tartar that I use to combat the hard water stains in our well water. And that just wipes right off, okay? There's no scrubbing it, there's no fighting it, nothing. It just comes right off. So once I wash these jars up, just a wet washcloth, literally, will take that right off. There we go with another one. And that final jar. Just beautiful. All right, so I am going to allow these jars to cool naturally and seal. And once they've sealed and cooled, well, there went one. Did you hear that pop? That's the beautiful sound that we all look for. That sealing sound. Just a ping or a pop. Anyway, once they have cooled and sealed, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to actually open up one of these jars of ham and potato soup and show you how I finish this off for a meal. So I'm just going to show you what the turkey soup looks like right now as a finished product. I'll get that held up for you. You can see the beautiful chunks of turkey in there and all of my celery and carrots. Just wonderful. And there's plenty of fluid in there also. And so my plan for these is that I will simply open up one of these jars into a saucepan and bring it to a boil. And then I'll add like maybe a hand or 2 handfuls full of store-bought egg noodles and just continue boiling it until those egg noodles are finished. And we'll have a wonderful turkey and noodle soup. So we're going to move on to that ham and potato soup that I also told you I was going to show you how to prepare. And this is what those ham and potato soup jars look like. And I'll be back in just a few minutes to show you how I prepare this into a cheesy, wonderful soup. All right, so as promised, we are back with the potato and ham soup that I canned earlier. So I've just got a couple of quarts. By the way, I had 100% seal. I love these 4-jar lids. Absolutely love them. But anyway, so I've got a couple of quarts of my soup. I have some previously canned cream out of my pantry. And I also have a couple of previously canned American cheeses. And these are little, I think they're 1/4 pints. So I think I have about a 1/2 pint of cheese. Now, with the cheese, you can use whatever you want, whether you have, a block of Velveeta, or if you want to use cheddar, cheddar cheese, grated cheddar cheese, just whatever you want. It's up to you. This is your soup, but I'm just showing you how I do mine. So what I'm going to do is just obviously pop open my jars of soup and dump them into my pan. All the contents. And then I'm going to get that heating. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this to a low simmer and simmer it for about 10 minutes, okay? And at that point in time, I will come back. Okay, so I have brought the soup and to just a simmer, and I've simmered it for 10 minutes. And now what I do is I just add my cheese so that that has the opportunity to melt really well in the hot fluid of the soup. So I just pop these open. Now, like I said, you can use Velveeta, you can use, the shredded cheddar cheese, whatever type of cheese you want, or you don't have to add cheese at all. You could just add a little splash of heavy cream and call it good. We tend to really like it to be like a cheesy potato and ham soup, and so I add cheese. All right, so I'm just going to stir this occasionally and allow all that good cheese to melt into the ham juice. And when I get that all melted, I will be back and we'll add a little splash of cream and show you what the finished result is. All right, so my cheese has pretty much all melted. I've stirred it once in a while just to, you know, keep stuff from sticking to the bottom, of course. And now I'm gonna pop open some heavy cream that I canned. Now you can use any sort of milk that you want. If you have fresh cream, you go ahead and use that too. I'm gonna shake this just a little bit. Just however you want to do it, milk, cream, whatever. I've got a lot of heavy cream stuff floating on the top of this jar, so that was very heavy cream. And I just add about, I don't know, a half a quart. Now I've got 2 quarts of soup in there, so I'm adding about a quarter, a third, maybe a half quart of heavy cream. And I'm just gonna stir that up in there too and get that nice and heated. Might add just a little bit more here. There we go. And just heat that through. Oh, that smells delicious. All right, so I'm gonna let this get good and hot again, and I will come back and show you what it looks like in a bowl and what the consistency of the potatoes and the ham are. All right, so my soup is definitely hot enough. I'm gonna go up and dish myself up a bowl here. Oh, this smells amazing. Get a few more potatoes in there for you. You know what? I forgot a fork. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back with my fork so that you can see what the consistency of the potatoes are. So I'm just gonna get one literally right there, you guys. It's not mush, it's not falling apart. It's just a nice chunk of potato. Here's another one I can stick with a fork. Isn't that lovely? See if I can find some ham in here. Here's a chunk of ham. And that also I can stick on my fork. Just beautiful. I love canning so much. And I have supper made in less than 10 minutes. So if I can get this crazy camera set, there, hopefully that's good. The proof is in the pudding, right? Isn't that what I always say? This is super hot. Oh my gosh, it is so yummy. Oh, it's creamy, it's rich, just a touch of cheese, a touch of that ham flavor. Oh my gosh, you guys, I wish there was smell-o-vision, I wish there was taste-vision. That's just amazing. And let's take a little bite of a potato here too. Gonna put that down. My bowl is so hot it's burning my fingers. Firm, not mushy. That potato is totally infused with ham flavor, and I had to chew it. Just amazing taste and amazing texture. So yummy, you guys, so yummy and so easy. You saw how easy this is. So this is my ham and potato soup base. Now you can open this jar just the way it is and just serve it the way it is. You don't have to add the cream. You don't have to add the cheese. That's just something that I personally really like doing as a finishing touch. This soup is really super yummy just the way it is also. You could use almond milk if you cannot have dairy products. You just go ahead and you find however you want to enjoy it. But so super easy, so super delicious. I hope that I gave you some good pointers and maybe some things to think about doing with some of your leftover foods, because you can create totally new meals that you can enjoy months and years down the road. So thank you once again for joining me, and God bless you all, and happy canning, everybody.